We are coming up on the release of a brand new IP, and a brand new IP that's a JRPG that has me very excited, and that is Scarlet Nexus, a game that I've talked quite a bit about, and with the release coming up this Friday with a lot of information about the game already up there, let's talk about what you need to know about Scarlet Nexus before you spend $60 or even before you take the plunge and you buy the deluxe edition at $80. There's a lot of information, so let's get right into it. So again, Scarlet Nexus is a brand new JRPG coming from the guys over at Bandai Namco, featuring developers that have worked on the acclaimed Bandai Namco JRPG franchise Tales of, and of course Tales of is getting its own new release later this year, but this is about Scarlet Nexus, a brand new IP, but with a star-studded cast at the helm of working at the game. And what's interesting from a Bandai Namco standpoint is that they have a lot of investment towards this game right out of the gate. I mean, it's not often that you see a video game, even prior to its release, get an anime adaptation right out of the gate. And by the way, episode 1 of that anime adaptation is already out on Funimation. I personally didn't watch the episode, but I did skip towards the end of the episode, and I caught a glimpse of the opening theme song, which, if that is a reflection of some of the music that we're gonna get out of Scarlet Nexus, has me very excited. Scarlet Nexus's own, the video game, has an anime opening, and that anime opening is also pretty good, so they're kind of doubling down on that. But it's very evident to see that Bandai Namco has a lot of hope for this IP going forward, and to me, when you invest in an anime already, when you have a game that you've been promoting this hard, that makes me think that this is a game that they are hoping to develop into a bigger IP that can feature multiple releases, but one step at a time, and we can get there eventually. But Scarlet Nexus takes place in a far distant future. A psionic hormone was discovered in the human brain, granting people extrasensory powers and changing the world as they knew it. Just as humanity was entering this new era, not everything is always that simple. Deranged mutants known as Others began to descend from the sky with a thirst for human brains. Highly resistant to conventional attack methods, extreme measures needed to be taken to battle the overwhelming threat and preserve humanity. Those with acute extrasensory abilities known as psionics were our chance to fight the onslaught from above. To this day, in the game, psionics have been scouted for their talents and recruited to the other suppression force, the OSF, humanity's last line of defense. That brings in our main protagonists, and yes, protagonists, Scarlet Nexus will feature 2 different playable characters. First, you have Yuto Sumeragi, who is kind of your typical shonen main character, a new recruit to the OSF aiming to become an elite psionic like the one who saved him as a child, which that is a mystery plot point that is going to unfold throughout the story, but that is something that you can continue to ponder. Kasane, on the other hand, the female protagonist, is an elite soldier and one that is a little bit more calm, cool, and collected, and already boasts a impressive set of skills and abilities. Again, both characters will be playable, and that is going to lend to the game being very replayable, because you're probably going to go through the game one time as one character, and then you might end up replaying the game again as the other character and see how the story unfolds in both separate ways. The story is, of course, told through both perspectives, but they will intersect. You guys know the deal with different characters in JRPGs. Outside of Yuto and Kasane, there will be a large roster of characters, ones that will also have varying personalities, and you will be able to build relationships of sort with them. You can gift them items, have them use those items in battle. Typical JRPG stuff here, but good to see that they do have a varied and bubbly cast of characters. When you actually look at the character designs, it seems like they put a lot of emphasis into making each character look distinct, which I always like that in a JRPG, and Scarlet Nexus seems to have that in spades. Now, circling back to the setting, the game actually takes place in New Himuka, again, a futuristic city, and that is kind of your hub world in Scarlet Nexus where you can go from, but it is always under the threat of the Others, and you have to take on the Others, and that is your primary enemy. Got a very sci-fi look going on for it, a futuristic look, and I'm liking the look, and while this isn't a full-blown next-generation game, from a technical standpoint, it is still definitely an aesthetically and visually pleasing game based on what we've seen, and it does look like there's a relative amount of variance in the locations as well, which I always like in a JRPG. Some games get get that really right, and hopefully Scarlet Nexus can parlay that into the entirety of its 40 to 50 hour experience. And yes, it was noted that the game will be around 40 to 50 hours long if you do complete subquests and things of that nature. I'm sure if you rush through the main story, you can complete it rather quickly. Well, quicker than 40 hours, of course. Rather quickly would probably be a stretch, given that we have games like Ratchet & Clank that you can blitz through in 6 to 7 hours, but you guys get the deal. This is a game with additional content, and again, with 2 primary main protagonists selectable from the get-go, each having a different perspective. That's going to lend to the game being pretty replayable, so for your money, you are getting a reasonable amount of content. Like, if you were one of those people that were upset again about Ratchet & Clank being $70, well, Scarlet Nexus is offering you something with a ton of content for your money, and it is $10 cheaper, so that's quite nice as well. I can talk a little bit about the gameplay, but what I would implore you to do is go on over and download the demo that is available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. That is going to give you a good idea of what the combat is going to entail, and based on my anecdotal observations, the people that I've talked to, it seems like the majority of people are on board with the combat, and it does seem like some people were a little bit off-put by it. Try it out for yourself, see what you think, maybe even leave a comment in the comment section down below with your thoughts, because that is going to be something that does vary person to person, but most people I've talked to seem to enjoy it. I really enjoyed the demo, and it's something that whenever a game, a new release, does offer a pre-release demo, you'd be stupid not to take advantage of it, so go ahead and take advantage of that demo so you can really get an idea from a gameplay standpoint where this game lies. But I like the idea of psychokinesis abilities. It seems like it's pretty fleshed out in that standpoint, and it does have a couple of different nuances going for it that I feel like makes it a pretty engaging battle system altogether. Speaking of gameplay, throughout the game you will be upgrading your characters and everything like that, and outside of bonding, which is also going to offer a deeper friendships and relationships, you are going to upgrade each individual character through the brain map, and that is going to be offered to your primary protagonist, and it's more of a skill tree that you're going to upgrade through that. Pretty simple stuff, but thought that should be noted as well. And then I do want to note, as I mentioned at the top, this game is going to be available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and the demo is available on all of those platforms. The game is going to be available on PC. Unfortunately, no demo released over there, but you can expect a 1080p 30 FPS performance experience on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and a 4K 60 frames per second experience on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. One final thing I do want to note, there will be 3 different editions to the game. You guys get the idea with the first 2, Standard Base Edition, Standard Digital Edition. They do have a host of pre-order bonuses if you do pick up the game early, additional attachment set, shoulder, special battle attire set audio, additional attachment set, face vision seal, and then you do have additional attachment Dreamcatcher. In the Digital Edition, same set of pre-order bonuses, and then you do have the Digital Deluxe Edition, which will once again feature the same pre-order bonuses, but on top of that, you get the Brainpunk bundle, includes a battle attire set red, digital art book, digital soundtrack, additional attachment the other, Deluxe Edition bonus, and SAS plugin variations. You have 3 of those, so that is going to be $79.99. All things considered, as far as a Deluxe Edition is concerned, I wouldn't say that's great. Like, I don't value digital art books and digital soundtracks that highly. I do value them highly when you have a physical art book and a physical soundtrack, and in my opinion, if you are buying a deluxe edition, it's more of a collector thing when you do include an art book and a soundtrack. That is my 2 cents. I wouldn't say that deluxe edition is worth $80, but hey, your mileage may vary. If it was $70, maybe, like a digital art book, digital soundtrack, some in-game items for $70, we'd be talking then. 80, I think, is pushing it a little bit too much. I think the majority of people are going to be better off sticking with the standard edition of Scarlet Nexus. But let me know what you guys think. This is a game that I am incredibly excited for. I am always excited whenever there is a relatively big budget new IP JRPG that is coming onto the scene, and I always hope that they can develop into something that's a long-term IP. Bandai Namco comfortably has Tales that they can always go back to, and again, Tales of Arise will be coming out later this year, but if Scarlet Nexus can also be something major, that would be great for them. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you picking it up day one? Sound off with all of your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.